In a game where the Raiders played their starters for the better part of the first half, the Cowboys and their backups win 27-12. And man, there were quite a few Cowboys players that we need to talk about that I thought stood out last night in their second preseason game. Let's get into it. Let's start with Marshawn Kneeland, the Cowboys' second-round pick, who last week I believe we talked about after the game as well because he played well against LA and the Rams. He's had a great training camp, mini camp, OTAs. We've heard a lot of good things about Marshawn Kneeland, and once again, he flashed on my screen against the Raiders and their starting offensive line, in particular against a really good left tackle in Colton Miller. For Marshawn Kneeland, I think it's time that we say, okay, we've seen enough. Bubble wrap him up. We'll see you week 1 against the Browns. He has been that good. The power, the strength, the leg drive. And Kneeland is such a sneaky good player because of him being drafted between Guyton and Beebe, two guys that have gotten a lot of buzz around Cowboys camp. But when he starts consistently flashing in the regular season, quarter over quarter, game over game, don't be surprised when we hear the name Marshawn Kneeland a whole lot. The guy drafted before Marshawn Kneeland and someone that we consistently talk about, Tyler Guyton, who played the entire first half, and I didn't notice any pressure from that left side. It seemed like from the broadcast that he held up extremely well. We'll have to go back and look at the All-22 and see where Guyton went right and wrong later this week. But once again, Tyler Guyton goes out there, gets some reps against the Raiders ones, including Max Crosby, and he does all that he's ever done as a Cowboy. He was ready for the moment, both in the run game and pass game. Tyler Guyton continues to get better game over game. He just continues to give me confidence in the Cowboys left tackle position moving forward into the season, into week 1 against Myles Garrett. I can't wait to go back and watch the All-22 because he did get a full half of snaps. So that's going to be fun to watch, but I will have to see if I can find the clip of a double team block that Guyton and Schoonmaker had on Max Crosby that I thought was just completely awesome to see. We're already talking about the Cowboys 2024 draft pick, so why not talk about Cooper Beebe? Can't talk about Guyton and Kneeland without mentioning the 3rd round pick. In my game notes, I wrote Beebe much more comfortable. Very invigorating analysis. And he did look much more comfortable in this game. His confidence snapping the ball under center and in the shotgun, his ability to snap and then get his hands up to take on blockers. And then of course we saw it last week, the ability to get out in space, be athletic, put guys in the dirt. The reps are starting to pile up and you can tell that he's just growing more and more as a center each week. And once again, putting together another good game. He played in the first and third quarter. I believe Hoffman played the second and fourth. But to me, Beebe is your week 1 starter. Guys, I'm super excited to tell you that today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events on the app, including concerts, sports, festivals, and so much more. As we all know, the Cowboys have a ton of fun games on their schedule this year, like Joe Burrow and the Bengals, CJ Stroud and the Texans, and of course Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Whether you're looking to be right on the 50-yard line or do standing room only in AT&T Stadium, SeatGeek's deal score makes it easy for you to find the perfect seats at the best price. Each ticket is rated on a scale from 1 to 10, so you know that you're getting the best deal. Green means good, red means bad. And you know that I came through for you guys. Use my code DOUBLEMOVE for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code DOUBLEMOVE. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app, and thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. Now let's talk about a name that we haven't talked a whole lot about this training camp and preseason. Ryan Flournoy, or Flournoy. I'm gonna go with Flournoy. He had a drive in this game that it was just the Ryan Flournoy drive. Him and Trey Lance were connecting, and he was killing Jack Jones before halftime. The two were going back and forth, and then Flournoy just lost him in the end zone on a fade to the corner. And Flournoy has had his ups and downs throughout training camp. He fought an injury, he didn't get to practice, and then he had his ups and downs against LA where he fumbled out of bounds luckily, and then he had a dropped pass. But the connection with Trey Lance in this game against the Raiders was very apparent. And honestly, if you asked me last week about my 53-man roster projection, I might have left Flournoy off. I thought he looked bad in that Rams game. I thought Jalen Cropper looked better than him last week and for a majority of training camp as well. But now I don't really understand how the Cowboys cut him, especially when you see that kind of potential in a preseason game. With Flournoy, you see he's an NFL type receiver. He has the body, the speed, the strength. You invested draft capital in him, and he really came to play in week 2 and really improved on what we saw last week. He needed this, and I thought he played extremely well. Now let's head back over to the defensive side of the ball in Wanye Thomas. Wanye is the guy that you just have to cheer for on this Cowboys team. He went undrafted in 2022. He was cut after training camp, spent a year on the practice squad, and then in 2023, he did make the active roster, but didn't play a ton. And now in 2024, it's going to be super hard for Mike Zimmer to not put this guy on the field. He has had moment after moment in these preseason games, going all the way back to 2023. And the play he made last night, coming downhill on that dig route or deep crosser, was a great play. The timing of the hit knocked the ball out. He wasn't too early, wasn't too late. Wanye Thomas continues to impress me, and I'm sure that a lot of other people are sitting back and thinking, how are you keeping number 30 off the field in 2024? He's safe, and I can't wait to see how Mike Zimmer plans to use him. Now let's talk about Duce Vaughn. I told you guys, it's amazing what happens when you give Duce a legitimate opportunity instead of running it up the gut every play in a blowout game. I made a video about it. A lot of people hold 2023 over Duce Vaughn's head, say that he didn't play well. Of like his 23 carries last year, 21 of them were in garbage time. So I'm not surprised at all to say that Duce looked like he had the most juice of any running back for the Cowboys last night. The shiftiness in space, the vision to see lanes opening up, the ability to make something out of nothing. It's not really something that this running back room is known for or gonna be known for in 2024. God, I'm just rhyming all over the place. But last night, I know that it's the preseason, and I know that Duce did this last year. And that's kind of been my point. I just don't see how you watch this game and don't think that he can play in the NFL on Sunday. Not as a number 1 back, but no one else looks that shifty and explosive in this room. And it's what the running backs need. You just have to use him right. He's a change of pace back behind Rico, Zeke, Freeman, whoever you want to use. If you use Duce right, use him in that role, I promise you, he'll be worth the roster spot. But can Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer figure that out? We'll just have to wait and see. Another big talking point this week is going to be Trey Lance, because he looked much better in this game from what we saw in the Cowboys week 1 game against the Rams. I thought we saw some things really coming together for a guy that struggled at times. He wasn't by all means bad last week, but there were some things that needed to be cleaned up in his game. And for most people, I think the growing consensus was the touch and feel on some of his passes. I thought that took a step forward. Thought he wasn't overthrowing receivers. Every ball wasn't high, 100 miles an hour. He showed some good things, rolling out to his right, rolling out to his left, pressure in his face, throwing the ball over the defender, in stride to the wide receiver. I don't feel like that was something that we really saw against the Rams. And as the game went on this week, he really found his rhythm, found his accuracy. He commanded the offense in certain situations and made more throws than we saw in week 1. The fade to Flournoy for the touchdown. He missed that throw to Jalen Cropper. Obviously a little bit different, but he did miss that throw. The dig route late in the game to McMath. The last minute slide to call a timeout and give Brandon Aubrey a chance to kick a 66-yarder. I thought there were more positive things in this game than there were negative from Trey Lance. And it's exactly what I wanted to see. Not perfection, but improvement. And Lance did just that. Now, I'm sure some people can back me up on this one, but I didn't go into this game expecting number 43 to jump off my screen as much as he did. And you're probably wondering, who is number 43? Kiman Hall. But man, it just kept happening over and over, and eventually he had the pick 6. Hall is a corner, and if you're gonna make a team based on the preseason alone, he figured out how to do just that. Now, I don't know where he fits amongst your cornerback room with guys like Eric Scott Jr. and Andrew Booth, but Hall looked very, very impressive in this game. And just aside from the pick six, he was coming up, making tackles at the line of scrimmage. He looked quick, pulling the trigger to move downhill. He was making plays all night long. And if you didn't realize it early in the game, the pick six was just kind of the icing on top. And honestly, that game kind of makes me think that we need to be discussing what the back end of the cornerback room looks like. Before we go, a quick shout out to Brandon Aubrey. The guy is just automatic. He's a robot. He booted a 66-yarder that somehow hit the net. It just doesn't get much better than that. He's really a weapon for the Cowboys in 2024. Cowboys All-Pro kicker seems to be back in form after a great year last year. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.